VAR. Yes lads, how you all doing? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, and today I'm bringing you guys the Leicester versus Manchester City match review. So guys, it has just finished at the King Power Stadium. Leicester City 0, Manchester City 1. A disappointing result today at the King Power Stadium against the reigning Premier League champions, but it was a decent performance for the Foxes today. But in today's video, I'm going to go for my general thoughts on today's game, and at the end of today's video, I'll go for my player ratings for the side we started today against Manchester City. Before we get into it, make sure a big thumbs up down below on today's video if you're enjoying this Leicester versus Manchester City match review. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't seen my face on your screen before. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. If you guys could go below, hit the subscribe button, it would be absolutely appreciated. I'm already down there. Make sure to turn on my channel notifications so there's any future videos on the channel just like this one. Follow my social medias, they'll be down there. Links, all of them will be in the description and down below. If you're a City fan, a Leicester fan, let me know your thoughts on today's game in the comment section down below. So boys and girls, it has just finished at the King Power Stadium. Leicester City 0, Manchester City 1. A decent performance today from the Foxes, but it wasn't enough to beat a very good Manchester City side under Pep Guardiola, and the away side extend their lead to 7 points ahead of Leicester in second place. But today, a quite controversial game, but to be honest, we could have got a point out of it. I think we probably deserved to get a point in the end. It was a disappointing way to lose 1-0 to Manchester City at home. So like I said earlier on in today's video, it actually was a pretty good performance from Leicester today against a very good Manchester City side under Pep Guardiola. But it's always going to be very difficult to get some sort of result into today's game with the likes of Wilfred and Didi, Hamza Chowdhury both missing out with injuries and suspensions. We had to obviously change formation to that 3-5-2 formation without that central defensive midfielder. And maybe if you did have Wilfred and Didi or Hamza Chowdhury, it could have been a different story. But to be honest, the performance today was not too bad against Manchester City, but it obviously wasn't enough to get a point or maybe even 3 points out of today's game. Of course, today's game was a very controversial game as well with the VAR, which has been very controversial today in several games in the Premier League, and I do feel pretty hard done by not getting a penalty, which could have given Leicester the lead. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne handballed it from that James Maddison free kick. His hands are up here. Surely it's got to be a penalty. All this unnatural position type of thing. That is not a natural position up there. I know you would be protecting your face, but to be honest, VAR, it's just not working in the Premier League. I'm not going to turn this into a type of VAR conversation, but come on, that has to be a penalty. If Dennis Praet's handball there is a penalty, surely the Kevin De Bruyne one has to be a penalty, and I do feel pretty hard done by. And of course, if that was a penalty, if he could have scored it, that would have given Leicester the lead. So VAR, controversial once again today, in my opinion, and I thought we were a bit unlucky not to get a penalty in that situation. But getting into the game itself, so Brendan Rodgers had to change the formation due to the lack of central defensive midfielders with the likes of Wilfred and Didi, Hamza Chowdhury and Nampalys Mendy all out injured or suspended. So obviously we went with the 3-5-2. So KASPER Schmeichel started in goal. A back three was made up with Johnny Evans, Kagawa Sung-Chu and Christian Fuchs came in to make up that third centre-back. The two wing-backs were Ben Chilwell on the left and Ricardo Pereira on the right wing-back role. A three-man midfield was made up of Yuri Tillemans, James Maddison and Dennis Praet also came in alongside them. And up front, two strikers of Jamie Vardy and Kelechi Iheanacho. I thought this formation worked fairly well, in particular in the first half. I thought Kelechi and Vardy worked well, especially in the first half, like I said. And to be honest, it's a decent way to go out to try and beat Manchester City. And I thought in the first half especially, it worked pretty well. Not so much in the second half. But as the game started, it was a fairly even start. Obviously, that main big chance coming in for Leicester, the best chance of the game for the Foxes, came around 10 minutes into the game where Jamie Vardy was set 1-1. I thought he scored, to be perfectly honest, but it came off the post, luckily for Manchester City, and not coming off the post and going in. That was a huge chance for Leicester. Jamie Vardy obviously not on form at the moment. I thought that was it for Vardy, but agonisingly for him and Leicester, it just went wide and hit the post. But to be honest, Leicester did start fairly well, especially on the counter-attack in the first half. We really got at City. We had a couple of other chances as well. City went close with Ilkay Gundogan, forcing a good save out of KASPER Schmeichel. But in the first half, it was probably all Leicester, to be honest. City had most possession, but Leicester looked very dangerous on the counter-attack. Of course, we had that very controversial free kick with Kevin De Bruyne's handball from James Maddison. We also had a couple of chances here and there, so did City. But in the first half, it finished 0-0. In a very end-to-end type of game, obviously City with the dominant possession, but Leicester looked very dangerous on the counter-attack, in particular with the likes of Vardy and Kelechi Iheanacho. But moving straight into the second half, Kelechi Iheanacho was forced off for that injury he took on Ederson. Was that penalty? Let me know in the comment section down below. Another controversial thing from VAR. I think VAR did look at it. Obviously, that coming together between him and Ederson in the Manchester City net. Harvey Barnes came in to start up front alongside Jamie Vardy. The second half started just as the first half ended, end-to-end stuff already. Leicester got on the counter-attack earlier on, but after that, in the first few stages, Leicester really did struggle to get at City to try and create any other chances. And to be honest, for the whole second half, it really was all Manchester City. 60 minutes into the second half, City were awarded a penalty after that. Handball by Dennis Praet, controversial, but with the rules at the moment, that was probably a penalty. But I still don't know why that one with us wasn't a penalty. But of course, KASPER Schmeichel with a massive save, Sergio Aguero, City missing from the spot once again, and a big save from KASPER Schmeichel. And to be honest, I thought that could have gone on to give Leicester a boost and we could go on to win the game possibly, but that didn't happen. City continued to dominate, and it, of course, Riyad Mahrez, of all people, driving down the middle of the park, a great ball to Gabriel Jesus, who gave City the lead on the 80th minute mark. That was very disappointing to see, in my opinion. We had a couple of chances, but in the second half, we just didn't look like Leicester, like ourselves, to be honest. Some silly mistakes up front with the likes of Ben Chilwell or Jamie Vardy, and after that, we couldn't really create anything too much, and Man City just dominated us after that, to be honest. And to be honest, it was a decent performance from City, especially in the second half, which gave them the 3 points away from home. But that's it for my thoughts on today's game, so let's get straight into my player ratings. This is where I rate each player's performance out of 10 from the side we started today against Manchester City at the King Power Stadium. To start off in goal with KASPER Schmeichel, I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. Of course, made that crucial penalty save, made a couple of big saves as well in the second half through Kevin De Bruyne, and I thought KASPER was brilliant today. His distribution was also very good compared to the usual, so I thought KASPER had a very good game today, so I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 for his great performance today in goal. Moving into the back five, to start off in the right wing back position with Ricardo Pereira, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a decent performance from Ricardo today, didn't get found out too many times defensively, got forward on a few occasions, causing City some problems, especially sometimes in the second half. He was a main threat coming down the right hand side, so yeah, a decent performance from Ricky today, so 7 out of 10 for him. Moving into the three centre-backs, start off with the right one with Kagler Soyuncu. I'm going to also give him a 7 out of 10. I thought he had a good performance today in that centre-back role alongside Johnny Evans and Christian Fuchs. Of course, couldn't do too much about the City goal. That was on Ben Chilwell's side, and to be perfectly honest, it is hard to stop Riyad Mahrez driving at you. We see Mahrez do that in the Leicester shirt, so yeah. Thought Kags had a very good game at centre-back today, so 7 out of 10 for him. Moving into the other centre-back with Johnny Evans, I'm also going to give him a 7 out of 10. I thought he had another good performance, obviously with that Mahrez goal. I thought he could have done a bit more to try and close him down, but like I said, it's difficult to stop Mahrez in that type of situation. So yeah, a good performance from Johnny Evans today at centre-back. Moving into the final centre-back with Christian Fuchs, I'm going to also give him a 7 out of 10. I thought Christian Fuchs came in and did a fantastic job in that centre-back role. Obviously, he's been in and out of the team at the moment under Brendan Rodgers this season, but I thought he came in and did a cracking job at centre-back alongside Johnny Evans and Kagler Soyuncu. And finally, moving into the left wing-back position with Ben Chilwell, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. I thought it wasn't the worst of performances from Chile, but going forward, I thought he could have offered a bit more. Obviously, with the City goal, it did come on his side. I thought he could have tried to stop Mahrez, but like I said, it's difficult in that situation. He could have done a bit more, but overall, 6 out of 10 for Chile. I thought he could have done better, but it wasn't the worst of performances from Ben Chilwell today. Now moving into the midfield, to start off with the left midfielder with Youri Tielemans. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. I thought Youri had another poor game today. He looked off it once again, looked very slow on the ball. Some parts of the game he looked very good. It's probably a bit harsh giving him a 6 out of 10, but to be honest, I thought he could have done a bit more in that midfield role alongside Maddison and Dennis Praet. But Youri is just not looking himself, to be perfectly honest. At the end of last season, he came in about this time last season. He was absolutely immense in midfield. Hopefully he can try and replicate that as the season comes to an end, but not the best performances from Youri, so 6 out of 10 of him. Moving into the other midfielder with James Maddison, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I thought Maddison had a pretty average performance from his standards. Got the ball a few times, did a couple of good things, but to be honest, it's always going to be hard against Manchester City to try and get a grip on the game. And Maddison couldn't do that on too many occasions, but I thought he had a better game than Youri Tielemans. And moving into the final central midfielder with Dennis Praet, I'm also going to give him a 7 out of 10. I thought Dennis came in and did a great job in midfield today. Obviously, he's been in and out of the team like Christian Fuchs, and I thought Dennis Praet had a very good game today. Obviously, didn't last 90 minutes, but obviously Matty James came on, which was a very good thing to see. But yeah, a decent performance from Dennis Praet, so I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. And finally, moving into the front two, to start us off with the left striker with Jamie Vardy. Of course, he squandered that huge chance early on in the second half. I'm going to give Vardy a 7 out of 10. It probably is a bit of a low 7. It wasn't the best of performances from Vardy today. Of course, like I said, squandered that huge opportunity. Looks a bit off it once again, but it's just not going Vardy's way at the moment. But hopefully he can bounce back with a goal, possibly against Norwich next week on Friday night at Carrow Road. And finally, moving into the other striker with Kelechi in action. Of course, he got took off at half-time, so I'm going to do Harvey Barnes as well. I'm going to give Kelechi a 7 out of 10. I thought Kelechi did alright up front. In the first half, he looked very well. Obviously, got hold of the ball. He dropped deep a few times, picking the ball up, and he was very good with his hold-up play as well. Obviously, that collision with Ederson forced him off. But yeah, it was a good, promising performance from Kelechi today. So 7 out of 10 of him. And the other striker, Harvey Barnes, because them two played a half each. So I'm going to do Harvey Barnes as well. I'm going to give Harvey 6 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty poor performance of Harvey today. Obviously up front, it's not his usual position, but I thought it could have done a bit more. I thought he looked a bit scared sometimes, but it's harsh, but I thought Harvey Barnes didn't have the best of games today, so 6 out of 10 for him. But that's it for this Leicester versus Manchester City match review. A disappointing result today at the King Power Stadium against a very good Manchester City side. But next up for Leicester, of course, it is Norwich away from home at Carrow Road. Get ready for the match previews and reviews on the channel for this one, guys. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure you do drop a like if you did enjoy. Like I said, subscribe if you haven't already. Like I said, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, edging ever closer, so hit the subscribe button, guys. If you want me to wear a full kit to the Aston Villa game, you know, check out my Twitter if you want to see anything towards that. But yeah, turn on my channel notifications to get notification every single time I upload a video, guys. Bye bye, SPORTSA, and I'll see you all in my next video. Peace out.